Watch this. One simple forearm drop before you loop underspin completely eliminates those frustrating net balls, and it takes zero extra effort. A lot of recreational players don't really use their center of gravity, and honestly, that's okay. Many of you are a bit older and don't want to get low. But please don't forget about this arm. Early on, the racket just sits up high near the table. Without thinking, the hand drifts down like this. Then when the ball comes, watch you push it. Backhand, same thing, just a push. See how the hand drops? Now, who drops? The racket drops. How does the racket drop? The forearm drops. The forearm sinks like this. That's what a proper drop looks like. Next, watch this. I push, then I try to loop straight into the net. Now I reset. This time before I swing, I remember, drop the forearm first. See how much easier that ball is to lift. This is the simplest, most practical fix you can make. The key word is down. Now, everything I've covered so far is about getting the ball on the table consistently. Next, let's talk about what makes a push tricky to loop in the first place. A pushed ball is slow. And it's spinny, unless your opponent just bumps it, and you can usually tell because the racket moves like this, not like this. A properly executed push carries heavy backspin. So when we make contact, should we give more friction or less? More, of course. Watch my elbow closely as I demonstrate. Watch my elbow height. Against a no-spin ball, say I served no spin, and the push coming back is also no spin. My elbow only needs to come up to about here before I finish the stroke. But if I served with spin and the push comes back heavy with backspin, stopping my elbow at that same low point means the ball goes straight into the net. The arc never gets high enough. In that case, I need to drive my elbow further forward and upward to lift the trajectory. The same principle applies on the backhand side. Against a no-spin push, my elbow stops early. Against a spinny push, if I stop at that same point, it's pure net. So what is the elbow actually responsible for? It controls the arc of the ball. When your elbow is high, your upper arm is naturally high. When your elbow is low, your upper arm stays low. Now, some people debate whether the upper arm or the forearm is the main driver when you loop. The truth is they both have to work. Neither one can do it alone. When the incoming ball carries more spin, the upper arm contributes more, pushing forward and upward. When the ball has less spin, the forearm does more of the work. In this drill, the push is relatively heavy, so my upper arm can't just park here, it needs to drive forward and up. Let me show you with a few backhand loops. Watch my elbow as I play. Because the push coming back is really heavy, see how high my elbow has to go. If I don't lift it this much, I simply can't clear the net. Look at the net height, then look at where my elbow finishes, it's well above the net line. That's a big difference from a casual stroke. The reason I have to go that high is that my partner is genuinely pushing the ball with proper technique. There's real spin on it. He's not just bumping it back. He's digging under the ball, trying to keep it low and tight so it's harder for me to attack. Now you don't want to just hoist your upper arm straight up like you're raising a flag, that's overdoing it. For a normal push and loop rally, you don't need to go that extreme. So the principle is, adjust your elbow height to match how much spin is on the incoming push. Here's the question, does a heavier push make the ball travel higher or lower off the table? Think about it. And remember, raising the elbow doesn't mean swinging sideways. You still move forward, you're just controlling the elbow's height along that forward path. The more spin on the ball, the higher your elbow needs to finish. Let me demonstrate one more so you can see it clearly. Say I serve and attack. My partner sends a no-spin push, watch, my elbow stays relatively low, the stroke is compact. Just that much. Any higher and the ball sails long. See the difference? My elbow finishes this much higher. That gap is the adjustment we're talking about. Let me put it all together. This is a standard forehand drive position. In a real match, the incoming ball dictates your stroke. More backspin, you swing more upward. Less spin, you go more forward. Top spin coming in, you close the racket and press down a bit. Defending, you keep the motion small. A fast ball, you compact everything and wrap around it. A jammed ball, you shorten the stroke even further. You have to adjust. If you only play with one textbook swing, you can handle exactly one type of ball, and the dozen other situations will beat you. So the key point for looping against a push is this: the upper arm has to do more work than you might expect. In a push and loop exchange, adding a little extra upper arm involvement is your insurance policy. It lifts the arc and keeps the ball on the table. Don't see a high ball and just hammer forward as if it's a no-spin float. That's exactly how you dump it into the net. Push and loop rallies come up constantly in real matches, especially below the advanced level. Most points at the recreational level go through a push exchange before anyone attacks. Now, which is easier for generating arc over the net? A slightly open racket face or a closed one? A slightly open face. Now, I don't mean wide open like this, I mean just a touch more open than neutral. That small difference helps the ball climb over the net. The standard teaching says the more you close the racket, the more spin you create, and that's true. Watch, a closed face against a push gives heavy rotation. That's the principle. But what if you just can't lift the ball? You try to brush thin and it dumps into the net every time. You haven't built that feel yet. So here's the fix: open the racket angle just slightly. Think of it as moving from a 2 o'clock angle to maybe 1:30 or even 2:30. Just a small adjustment. Let me demonstrate. Watch same push, but with a slightly more open racket face. The ball clears the net much more easily, but there's a trade-off. You lose spin. With a more open face, the ball gets on the table, but the rotation is weaker. It's a transitional shot. You're getting the ball into play, not winning the point outright. If you want real spin, you still need to close the racket and brush thin. That's the goal long-term. But in a match situation, say you have a tournament tomorrow and your loop against backspin isn't reliable, you can open both your forehand and backhand faces just a fraction. Here's the critical part: you can't stay open through the whole stroke. After contact, you must press the racket face closed. Watch my hand open then press. See that? Open into the ball, press through it. That sequence is what keeps the ball on the table. Even if the incoming ball has almost no spin, as long as you don't swing with full force, the open then press motion prevents the ball from sailing long. And this isn't a big dramatic flip of the wrist, it's a micro adjustment. Add a small inward wrist rotation, pronation, as you swing. This helps guarantee the ball clears the net. Opening the racket face creates the upward arc to get over the net. Then that pronation brings the ball back down onto the opponent's side. Combine those two actions, and you solve the backspin problem first. Then you can rally on topspin. Don't expect this kind of loop to blow the ball past your opponent right away. Focus on placing it and getting it on the table. The backhand works the same way. If you close the racket face and loop normally but keep hitting the net, here's the fix: open the racket face a bit more. Because the backhand stroke is compact and finishes early, you don't need to worry as much about closing. The ball won't fly long. Opening the face makes it easier to lift the arc over the net. Closing the face adds more spin. So open first to get the ball up, then adjust from there.